And you're listening to Mental Breakdown.
Dia and I are here today. We're going to talk about intuition in therapy. Oh, and Chico's here too. He might jump up at some point, make an appearance.
Hey,
Uh,
Chico.
but we were going to chat a little bit about, because you and I both do a lot of intuitive work in addition to therapy. And so I thought it'd be fun for us to chat about, how we got into it, the benefits of it, any, other like tips, tricks, information, just like general information we would want to share with people. I try
Yeah,
to
I
put
love
all those words together at one time. That was great.
No, I love it. I think this is a really cool topic.
Yeah.
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 Wherever you think we should start diving in.
Well, so I know I got into intuition in like 2020. Like
Okay.
have always felt intuitive, but like didn't really like tap into it until I started doing more of my own work with um a coach that I was working with. Her name's Natasha Mack. She's great. She's a psychic medium. So we did a lot of like intuitive healing, like things like that. And I'm like, I want to be able to do what you do. And so that's when I got into it and started using it with clients. And so then when you started working with me and you were like, I'm really interested in that, I'm like, yes, like it's going to be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that intro. I definitely feel like it was when I started working with you, enjoying practice, and like started being a therapist. And honestly, and just like our supervision, one of the things that you say a lot is like, is your intuition like
Yeah.
telling you anything?
Yeah.
And it's something I just started paying attention to more and more. And I feel like you and I have talked about this, but I feel like with intuition, as you tune into it more, the voice gets louder. And it's so
Yes.
as I like started paying attention to it more and more and more, it became more,
Yes.
I guess, yeah, that voice became louder.
How does your intuition show up for you?
I honestly, it's kind of a hard question because I feel like it's different depending on the situation. I definitely have a lot of like physical reactions to things.
Okay.
Like I feel like I've always been like very attuned to like my body. I grew up being a dancer, and I make it like the body awareness.
Yeah.
But I can like usually feel like I feel my emotions in my body. I feel things very, you know what I mean? So sometimes it is like literally this kind of just like gut nudge.
Yeah.
I can't even really explain it any other way. It's like kind of like a nudge.
Yeah.
Sometimes like, I mean, this is like outside of work with clients and stuff too, just like in life.
Yeah. Oh,
Just like
I thought you froze. That scared me. And Chico cannot make up his mind. He's like up and down and up and down.
My brain's just catching up. I'm like, how? It's such a. I feel like it's kind of ambiguous. Like it's not a super. Like intuition doesn't always feel logical. It's kind of hard to put into words.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like literally like a thought that kind of pops into my head, or like a feeling. It's usually like a thought or a feeling.
Okay.
Or like I'll think of something randomly.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a leading thought or like a leading kind of like nudge. And then I'm like curious about that.
Yeah. Well, and do you ever like hear things? And like for people listening, I'm not asking about like psychosis, hallucinations, but sometimes when people have intuitive traits, it's like they're hearing songs or words or like movie lines or noises or things like that, or like you can smell things or taste things or things like that. Do you ever have any of those?
I don't so much have that. For me, it's definitely more of like a physical, it's like more of like that nudge, or sometimes it's like a thought or like a sentence.
Oh, okay. So more like clairsentience or claircognizance, like the clear feeling or clear knowing.
Yeah, and like I don't even know all of the technical terms for this stuff.
I love it. You don't have to. To be intuitive, you don't have to know any of the technical words. So mine are more like claircognizance is probably my strongest one, where it's like information just kind of pops into my head and it's like I don't know how I know this, but I know this, so I'm going to put it out there. Or the bodily stuff, like feeling what my clients are feeling. So a lot of times, especially in like brain spotting or EMDR, there will be those mirror neurons where it's like I'm already feeling it, but then I'm also feeling like, oh, my chest feels really tight right now, and I don't think that that's me. And typically it's the client, or even if we're just talking, I might be like, how's your chest feeling? Or like, how's your tummy? Or like, what's going on with your throat chakra? Like, can we talk about that? Like,
Yeah. Well, and I totally, like, when you were saying that about brain spotting, it reminded me, honestly, when I did the brain spotting training, mirror neurons and just like that attunement to clients in general.
Yeah.
Well, client attunement in brain spotting, I feel is like the number one thing that they like talk about, and I can see like it's so important. It's like this total presence and like being there like in that space with them.
Yeah.
Like not like in that space with them in the sense that it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's still them and their journey, but like being so attuned to their emotional experience and like what they're feeling that you do end up feeling those things.
Yeah.
Not in like a countertransference, now I'm crying and but do you know what I'm trying to say?
Well, it's like another tool, right? It's another kind of like observation that we get. I don't know if I'm even explaining that well, so just tell me to shut the fuck up if this does not make sense as you're hearing it.
You are explaining it well. I think this is a hard topic to try to explain because it's not super like concrete.
No, it's like not, I mean, it's amazing and I love it and I'm so glad we do this. But it's like more information for us. And sometimes that information isn't accurate. But I think, and we were talking about this before we started recording, of it isn't like intuition is all knowing or all accurate. It's more of like, hey, here's something to explore and ask about, get curious about. And you might be close, but not like bullseye with it. Like I'm thinking of a dartboard. Like you might be on the dartboard or close to being on the dartboard, but you're not hitting like the bullseye of whatever the client is needing.
Yeah, and I feel like that is key in like utilizing the intuition and still being like an ethical therapist and like letting your client autonomy and all those things. Like neither of us would ever say like, oh, I this just came up for me and I'm wondering like if this fits. Like we would say something like that rather than, oh, it must be this thing because I thought of this or I had a feeling about this. Like that is absolutely not something that we would ever or present like to a client. But I like that you had that like bullseye kind of metaphor for it because it's like sometimes I'll say like, you know, it kind of reminds me of like this or like, does this fit? I'm like curious. And a lot of times clients are like, oh my gosh, yes. Like it's like it helps with the language and it like really lands. Or sometimes they're like, no, but now that you say that, it's kind of more like this. Yeah. And then it's like, cool. Like if it helps, it helps.
For sure. And I think a lot of what we do, and I think our style as therapists are very similar just in terms of like personality, the way that we show up. I'm probably a little bit spicier just because, you know, that's me.
I love that.
But I think, you know, we both have been trained as therapists to, like, we're not the expert. Like, we know therapy, we know, like, therapy interventions, we build a relationship with our client, but we're not the expert on them. And so it really is this collaboration between us and the client. And so, like you said, we're not going to come in and be like, this is what my intuition's telling me, this is what's going to happen, this is how you're feeling, blah, 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 blah. It's like, let's give you some autonomy and agency as the client to also put language to it, to also kind of sit in it and explore and get curious about what is this that this other person that I trust is picking up on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I like the way you worded that a lot. Well, and it's like, I think as the therapist, and I don't know why, like my brain is going down like that, just like ethical consideration route. I have like Patty on my brain.
If she listens to this podcast, she's going to be so happy that she got mentioned and that she's still scaring you.
Yeah, shout out Patty. Live in my brain. But I feel like one thing that we did talk about in grad school and like you and I talk about, and I just feel like as a therapist, it's like an ongoing thing that you should be thinking about is like your limitations and like your, like doing the work for yourself. As the therapist, so that you aren't having like moments of countertransference in sessions, or like if you are, and I think where my brain is going with this is like distinction between intuition with the client and like, are you feeling something, not like you, but like is therapist who's using intuition feeling something because it's like a countertransference thing coming up?
Yeah. So how I distinguish it, then I'm gonna ask you how you distinguish it. Because I feel like I keep putting you in the spotlight and then I feel bad. So, but sometimes like sometimes I'll still doubt, like, should I even say this? Like, where is this coming from? Because like my human therapy brain gets really loud and it's like, what are you doing? This is the dumbest thing you've ever said. Like, this is just you being weird. And so I will sometimes pause before I even like share intuitively what's coming through, and I'll know it's more intuition if it's getting louder.
Mm-hmm.
Or if like the client gives me like a cue, like if they say something that's like similar to like what I was thinking, I'm like, okay, that's my sign I can go in. So let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know that I have like a specific like process for it. I feel like one thing I try to always do is just slow down in general, and that helps a lot with like knowing like what's coming up for me, what's coming up for them, like what is happening in the room.
Yeah.
And then I feel like if there ever is like something that might be indicating in me of like something coming up for me that like could be countertransference, I feel like that's when having things like supervision and consultation, talking through this with a professional who's like, is this, walking through those things so that you're doing your due diligence. I can't speak.
Yeah. I mean, welcome to my world. I make up words all the time. I like said something earlier in a session. I was like, that wasn't even good grammar. Like, what am I doing today? But
I make up words sometimes.
All the time. I do it all the time. I do think though, so can you explain what countertransference is if anybody listening does not know what that is?
Yeah, I keep dropping that term.
That's okay. Just in case somebody's like, what is that? And I don't want them to have to like go Google it. So
yeah, no, totally fair. And I'm probably not going to give like the exact textbook definition, but like general understanding of like what I remember about countertransference, because it was something we talk about so much in grad school when you're becoming a therapist, is like, be aware of countertransference. Basically, and if you hear me say this and you're like, that, like I have stuff to add or that doesn't fit, call me out. This is what I understand about it.
Yeah.
Countertransference is the process of like, you're in a session with a client and maybe they are going through a trauma or an experience that perhaps you have had some experience with in the past. I feel like that like happens often as therapists, just because like we're also people. And countertransference would be where you are almost like feeling your past stuff come up. And it's like not, it's like that. And that's why like the distinction between like intuition for them and the countertransference is so important, because it's like, this is still about them. And everybody experiences it, and it's not like a bad thing as long as you are like aware and you check it and you properly hold space for the client.
Well, and so we're not like projecting our stuff onto the client, like so that we're then not like biased or giving like advice, feedback, interventions based on like our experience.
Yeah. And that's why I think too it's like so important for therapists to have their own like have done their own work and like continue to have like that kind of check-in with themselves.
Yeah.
Because to be able to check that, I feel like you have to be aware of like your things.
I was going to start singing the Ice Cube song, Check Yourself, but I was like, that nobody needs to be exposed to that sort of trauma for me. So, but you're right. Like we do, because we are, I mean, we're part of the therapeutic process. And like you said, we're humans too. So we go through shit, and like, you know, it's a running joke that like every therapist is a therapist because of something fucked up in their life, whether it was a trauma, a family dynamic, something, you know? And so it's like we have a reason that we were called to be a healer. And so doing our own work helps us get clear on like what we're wanting, needing, thinking, experiencing, all of that, but then also able to show up really well for our clients.
For sure. I also feel like empathy obviously is like a huge part of therapy and like being a therapist and the therapeutic process and all those things. And I'm curious your thoughts on this, but I do feel like that adds to that intuitive voice. Because like if you have like a strong, like if you are a very empathetic person, you are so tuned in to how other people feel. And like maybe that's like partially that like mirror neurons happening process as well. Mirror neurons happening process.
I loved it. I got it.
Grammar's not happening.
Oh, that's okay. We're not here to talk about grammar, so we're good.
But I feel like as therapists, you
Yeah.
you do have like such a strong empathy for people, and that plays probably a big role
Mm-hmm.
in the intuition and like that voice, because it's like if you were disconnected from that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that you could be super intuitive with a person.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, and there's a really good book. It's The Gift of Fear that talks about intuition as a survival strategy or a survival skill. And it's a great book. I actually have it.
I actually do too, on my bookshelf back there.
I have it like ready to go, because this is one of my like frequent recommendations for clients. But it's a great concept because it talks about how everybody has intuition, and there are a lot of people that turn it off. Like they turn off that voice, that nudge, that knowing because of societal conditioning, whether it's like religious beliefs, family beliefs. I think as females, we're taught to be polite and kind and accommodating and all of these things. And like, one of the examples, actually, there's a couple in the book where, there, and let me backtrack. I'm word vomiting at the moment. So the guy that wrote it, Gavin DeBecker, he researched people that were victims of crimes. And so he would then interview them afterwards and explore when their intuition told them that they were in danger. So he could gather, and he researched on like all kinds of things, from blackmail to threats to domestic violence to sexual assault, you name it. And so what he found is like everybody had intuition, but some of these people, like one of the females was like, well, I don't want to be a bitch, so I let the guy in through the gate. Or I don't want to be rude, so I let him, like I held the elevator open so that he could come on and we could go up the stairs, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that might be something that I would encourage people if they're looking for, okay, well, how do I learn more about it? That's a great book to read.
Yeah, I love that book, and I love that recommendation. And trigger warning slightly.
Yes, thank you.
There's some like disturbing statistics, some graphic explanations.
Some of the first chapters are like, yeah. And there was like no trigger warning.
It's a good book, and what I really do like about that is it's like the reminder, and you literally just said this, but that reminder that like everybody has intuition, like it's literally innately within us.
Yeah.
As a like gift of fear or like a safety mechanism. Yeah. And our brains, this is like also one of my favorite topics.
I know. I love that you're just lighting up as you're talking about it.
So if I just digress too far.
No, you're good.
But our brains, like we have so much happening in our brain that we're not even consciously aware of. Like there's so much input that is, your brain is processing and taking things in on the subconscious level too that you can't even be consciously aware of. So it's picking up on things that the rest of your conscious hasn't necessarily caught up to.
Yeah.
And so it is this kind of like, yeah, it might not make a lot of sense why you have this weird thought about something, or why you feel uncomfortable, or why your body starts feeling uneasy, or your heart rate picks up, and you might not consciously have this understanding of like why.
Yeah.
But it's like trusting that that's there for a reason.
Yeah.
And your brain can pick up on things, your nervous system can pick up on things that maybe like the conscious part hasn't necessarily caught up to.
Well, and I love that you said that, and I love how excited you get about the brain. It makes me so happy. So when my kid, well, my oldest, he's in college now, and so we went and toured ASU, NAU, and his technical school that he's at now, and I'm like, I want you to pay attention to how your body feels when you're at each place, because it's going to give you more information than what your brain is going to tell you. And as soon as we pulled up to ASU, he's like, I don't want to go here. And I'm like, okay, like, do you still want to do the tour? Because, like, we were going to leave from there and go up to NAU, like, that same day and do the NAU tour the next day. He's like, no, we'll still do it, but I'm not going to go here. And I'm like, okay, like, that's fine. Like, that's totally fine. NAU would have been a lot cheaper for me had he picked that one. But he's at, like, the perfect place. And he's like, it just felt like I belonged there. He's like, I don't have words for it, but like in my body, like in my gut, I knew it was the right choice. And I'm like, that's priceless. Like,
that's so special that also he's getting like having that attunement to himself. That's being honored.
I mean, I really wish it was at NAU, but here we are. So my
No, but
bank
I
account
love
would be a
that.
lot happier, but he's happy and thriving. So
That's so cool though too, that he's getting to experience like trusting that and slowing down. And yeah, I think that's really cool. One thing I love that you had said, now I'm like going back slightly.
I love it.
When you were talking about like being born with intuition, we have it all, and like a lot of times conditioning, society, norms, like kind of shut that thing off, shut it down or quiet that voice.
Yeah.
I feel like trauma also, just in how much trauma work we do, like that is such a thing. Like abusive relationships.
Trauma's such a mind fuck.
Such a mind fuck, and I feel like, you know, my brain goes to like abusive relationships and experiences where you are experiencing years of manipulation and trauma or abuse or whatever.
Yeah.
Those signals start feeling very confusing.
Well, yeah, because you know one thing in your like subconscious and your deeper nervous system, but you're being told something totally different. So what do? We believe what we're being told because, well, if they tell us enough times, like that must be right.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that in doing like trauma work, whether it's like brain spotting, EMDR, like whatever. Oh my gosh, there is like a mosquito flying around.
Oh no.
Okay, sorry about that. That is like something that I feel like a lot of clients experience some kind of trauma, is like this disconnect from
themselves,
from themselves. Yeah. And when there has been more processing and healing in the trauma, that voice starts coming back, and that's like a really beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
And like how to reconnect with that voice and like start trusting that again, and how to distinguish between what is your intuition and like what is anxiety, self-doubt.
Intuition's never going to be anxiety though. It's never going to communicate through anxiety.
Yeah. And you said something that like really stuck with me about that. Like intuition is never going to feel like the anxiety or like the self-doubt voice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you said this or if I read this somewhere. Someone had said like intuition speaks in statements, and
I would love to take credit for that. I don't think that was me.
It's a good, I think I read it, maybe I watched a video or something, but I would also like to take credit for that because I still do that sometimes, but like, not that I take credit for it.
You should. One of us should, and it shouldn't be me because I just said I didn't do it. So,
but intuition speaks in statements where like the self-doubt will sound more like a question or like a like uncertainty. And when you like slow down and think about that, it's kind of really true. Like, when you have an intuition about something, it's more like a feeling or like a nudge or like a statement.
Or like a knowing.
Yeah. And I feel like the anxiety, then it sounds like this like question of like, well, am I like, maybe I'm overthinking, you know, maybe I'm just being paranoid. It's like, no, that's not the gut feeling though. That's like this questioning of yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I digress.
No, but I mean, I think it's important to distinguish. And so I'm just thinking of like people that have anxiety, they might have a hard time, like if they're listening to this being like, okay, well then how do I listen to my intuition? And so I think, and this is what I heard you say, so please correct me if I like misheard everything and like messed it up. But it's like the gut feeling might happen first. Anxiety might kick in afterwards based on like trauma, conditioning, healing, whatever. But it's like, okay, can we go back to that initial gut feeling, that initial nudge, that initial knowing, that initial like thought, feeling, whatever, and try to dissect it from the anxiety.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what I was saying.
Okay, good. I got it.
Whew. No, yeah, you worded it better. Yeah, I love that. And I feel like I do that with clients sometimes where I'll say like, let's go back to like what you initially felt. Or a question I'll ask sometimes is like, well, okay, if you were to like shut out all of the noise of other people, or if you were to shut out like the shoulds, like I feel like people say that a lot, like, well, I should feel this thing, or I know I should do this. Like, quiet that voice. Like, literally imagine them leaving the room, they're in the lobby, they're gone. What do you feel about it? And that can be really telling too, I feel like, to have the visual of like actually having that outside noise or the outside influence or the shoulds and shouldn't.
Yeah.
The biases, the stress things, like take that out of the room for a second. Just like you in here, how do you feel about it?
Mm-hmm. What does your body say? I will ask people that a lot. How does your body communicate with you?
Yeah.
And I'll even have people do that. Like if I have clients that are maybe contemplating like a breakup or like a divorce or a job change or some kind of big transition, you know, I'll ask them like, okay, when you think about leaving, let's say the job, I want you to take a deep breath, and what does your body say right now? What do you notice?
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, okay, like think of like a cute puppy and like take another deep breath and like think about staying in this job for another 10 years. What does your body do? And so helping them build like a reference library for how their body is going to communicate, you know, other things like this isn't right for me, or this isn't safe, this is good, this is what I want.
Yes, I love that. And as you were talking, it made me think about, again, like trauma perspective.
Yeah.
And this is like a question for you then.
Oh, okay, I'm ready.
So because I love that, like that quieting, listening to your body, what is your body telling you? And I feel like sometimes trauma gets those wires crossed where like feels like the signals are not correct. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I don't trust the signals that I'm getting.
Totally. Yeah. And like, for example, I'm thinking like people who have maybe like complex PTSD and are experiencing like panic attacks or waves of dissociation where it's like your body is screaming at you that something is off, but maybe there's actually nothing in your like immediate environment that is unsafe. But do you know what I mean?
Well, it makes me think of like, you probably have seen it on social media. It's like the meme that's like, I wish my body would understand that me getting an email isn't like a threat to my life. You know what I mean? From like people who have had trauma, complex PTSD, anything like that, where they were living in the state of survival, where their nervous system was on guard all the time. Now that they're out of the danger and they've healed a little bit, it's like, okay, but the nervous system is still being really protective. And so how do I trust the information that I'm getting from my body? Because my body's saying it's safe, but I don't know if I can believe it.
Yeah.
And part of it's like building trust. And so it's like having those smaller moments where it's like, okay, you don't have to believe it, but can we just notice it? Can we just go with it? And almost like build a new foundation.
Yeah. Like starting slow and moving at your pace.
Yeah.
I feel like that, and like actually addressing the trauma at some point. Yeah. Like if there hasn't been like any work, obviously, like again, at the client's pace, it's never something that we're going to push if it's not like what they're going to do. But yeah. Yeah, because it's like I feel like the nervous system, and totally like it doesn't know the difference between a perceived threat and like a physical threat. Like it literally feels the same. And so it's like if it is perceiving something where like an email comes through and it's like, oh, danger, it's gonna feel the same, and your body's still gonna be going into this like fight or flight where, you know, you experience that adrenaline surge and you're experiencing the elevated heart rate, and it's like, what the hell? Like this is just, but your nervous system is like, no the fuck it's not.
It's like every time I go to the dentist and I'm like, it's just a cleaning, it's fine, but I have such like dental phobia. My like nervous system is like I get so many workout points when I go just for a cleaning. Because my nervous system is like, nope, like we have to be on guard because like what's gonna happen? And I've never had like a dental trauma, but you know, here we are. So
and I love how like the F word flows out of me when I'm with you.
I know, I love it. I told my hygienist, because there's only one at the place that I go that I allow to like be in my mouth and work on me, because I like we have this like rapport and trust now.
Yeah.
That I'm like, nobody else can like do this. Otherwise, I think if you leave, I'm leaving and I'm never coming back. I'll go to wherever you are. But I told her, I was like, Angie, I had the dream that the cartel was pulling out my teeth with pliers. She's like, you have that much anxiety? And I'm like, yeah. So I just had a whole trauma trigger when we were talking about this, about the dentist. So I apologize.
It's terrible. That's terrible.
Well, but I do think with the nervous system, I'll get off my dental trauma. Perceived. I don't even think it's real. But like I will notice even with like my husband and my kids sometimes, and they're very different than like my mom was. My mom has been a source of a lot of my trauma. But like they will do things that will hit some of those trauma triggers, and like I'll know like, okay, this is like, it's not the same, but my body's reacting as if it's the same. And so one thing I've really tried to do, especially as I've been more in tune with it, and this is what I would tell clients too, is, you know, when you start to feel that, you can tell your partner, your family member, your friend, colleague, boss, whatever, like, this triggered my trauma, and I know that that isn't the case, but my body's reacting as if it is. And if you can put more context to it, like a negative cognition, like, you know, I know you're not trying to make me feel like I'm not good enough, but that's how it's landing. That's how my nervous system is interpreting it because of over here.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It makes me think about too, like, I'm sure you've worked with clients that, like, say there's been sexual abuse, past trauma, and they're with like a totally
like a safe partner,
and they're like, I want to have sex with this person, like I'm ready, I want to, I've thought about it, like I feel safe, like consciously, I like really want to do this and have this experience with them. And in those moments my body is like literally shutting down, and I feel dissociated and I feel disconnected, and it's so confusing to people because it's like my brain, like I'm consciously like I want this, and my body and nervous system are like screaming at me that there's something off. And I love that you said like acknowledging that and like honoring that. I feel like is so important in all situations. Like it's in this example of like sexual encounters. I feel like having the space to just pause, acknowledge what you're feeling, like do some grounding, like get connected with your body. And if this is a safe person, having that conversation. And awareness, like sometimes that's slowing down, sometimes that's pausing, sometimes that's trying something else.
And doing the trauma work.
It all goes back.
We started with intuition, but I think the message is do the trauma work. But no,
maybe that's trauma-informed therapist in us.
Probably. Well, because I think going back, I'm just circling back to what you said a while ago, I do think trauma is such a big block to our connection to ourselves. And if we're not connected to ourselves, we can't then be connected to intuition. We can't be connected to that inner knowing. And trauma could be sexual abuse. It could be physical abuse. It could be emotional neglect. It could be inconsistency. It could be religious trauma. It could be natural disasters. Like, it can be any number of things. But I think what you and I see more often from clients is more of like the complex trauma where it wasn't like one specific thing, but lots of little things. And I think if it is like one specific thing, usually it is like a sexual kind of trauma or assault or something like that. But helping clients even put language to that trauma too, because even for them, like they might be saying like, that's not trauma, that was just normal. And it's like, okay, but that wasn't normal. Like, can we talk about what normal is? And, you know,
Well, and I love that you, like, touched on the spectrum and, like, the spectrum of things, because I feel like, whether you want to label it trauma or not, I know, like, somebody has talked about, like, big T or, like, little T traumas. So, like, sometimes I'll talk about it like that with clients, or, like, if they don't want to label it as trauma, like, that's totally fine. But, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought.
You're talking about the spectrum of trauma.
Spectrum of trauma. What were we talking about right before?
Do the trauma work. We'll just circle back to that.
Yes, trauma work.
Yeah.
It'll come back to me. Just start talking about something. It'll
I hate it when that happens in a session, like with clients, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I promised, like I knew what I was gonna say, and it just like left my brain. But no, we were talking about how trauma like disconnects from ourselves, and then that disconnects from our intuition.
Oh, yes. Okay, trauma disconnecting from yourself. One of the things, and this like adds into our conversation earlier about like your nervous system not knowing the difference always between like perceived threat and like serious threat. And like one thing that comes up a lot, I feel like in sessions is, you know, people who have been in relationships where maybe like you wouldn't you wouldn't classify this as like
Mm-hmm.
big T abusive, but maybe there's like inconsistency in communication.
Yeah.
Maybe there is like emotional manipulation
Yeah.
and things like going on. Or maybe this like goes back to childhood and there's like inconsistency in attachment relationships. And then picturing like adult in romantic relationship who's experienced this inconsistency, whether that's like parental relationships,
Yeah, friendships, whatever.
and now they're with this partner that like feels safe, isn't abusive, whatever. And maybe they take a little bit longer to respond, or and your nervous system like fires in and it's like panic, like where are they, what are they doing, am I going to be abandoned, are they leaving me, like you start going into this like hyper overdrive of like checking yourself, checking all the things. It's like this, you said this earlier, like hyper attunement to all of the things. I don't even know where I was going with that.
Which really comes back to like, I'm not safe. So whether it's like abandonment, whether it's I'm going to be hurt, it's like I'm not safe. And so a lot of what we do, I think, with trauma work and also like intuitive work is helping clients feel connected and safe in themselves, right? Having that secure attachment to themselves so that then they can, you know, have a relationship where maybe it isn't in alignment because they're not getting what they need, but it's not coming from a fear place. Or, you know, maybe it is being able to then have honest conversations about what's working or not working without that fear of like rejection or abandonment.
Totally. Yeah. It's like that balance of self-soothing, regulation, and can you communicate these things with your partner, and we can find something that works.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so beautiful, I think, to be on like the therapist side, and I think you would probably say the same thing. Like, it's so cool. I like love it so much to see clients like become their authentic selves without all the like programming or trauma or doubt or anything like that, and just like be secure in who they are, like the good, the weird, the flaws, like all of it.
Totally. Yes. Oh yeah. I feel like there's those sessions sometimes where you just like are like, I feel so, I mean all the time, but where you just really like, it is such a privilege, I feel like, to be a therapist and like be in that position of like vulnerability with somebody and holding that trust. And it's like not something that therapists take lightly.
Not at
all.
I
hope clients know that it is a privilege to work with you.
Yeah. And we have such good clients. I mean, and I don't say that because like we just have good clients now. Like we always have really good clients that I feel like find us, that are so aligned with the therapist that they're working with, and it's just such a cool, beautiful thing. And I tell clients all the time, I'm like, look, like I love what I do. I wish I could, you know, like help you heal in one session, but it's going to take a little bit. But I get so excited when clients like don't need me anymore because they've had so much healing. And then it's like bittersweet because I'm like, I'm going to miss you, but like I'm so happy for you.
Oh my gosh. I feel like, yes, there's like no better feeling, and it is bittersweet because it's like, this is the goal always, like that you are like, I don't know, spreading your wings. But it's like, oh my gosh, what a cool journey to even be like a little part of that.
Yeah.
But it's really like, it's the client at the end of the day that's doing work, and that's like the coolest thing. I do feel like when you had said like the clients that kind of find us and are aligned and all those things, I feel like there is something to be said about just being yourself in sessions, and like those moments where you do forget your sentence, or like,
or you make up a word, or
like I literally can't speak, or you know, whatever, like shit happens, life happens, and I feel like it makes people feel like they have the permission to like be a human, and it's like you do, like we all are.
Or you say something stupid and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe it just came out of my mouth, like
or like there's been so many times that I'll say something and I'm like, okay, like, let me rephrase that. I feel like that didn't even make sense. It made sense in my head.
Well,
but like that's just
that's
like
every day for me. I'm like, it came out more jumbled. But I'm even thinking of a session where a client was like, I feel like I just gave you like a big messy ball. And I'm like, oh, I'm really good at working with like big messy balls. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. And now I just repeated it for anybody who's listening. So enjoy.
No,
Trauma balls, not real balls. So I was like, and luckily this is a client I've been working with for a long time. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I don't get uncomfortable or mortified easily, but like I was like so embarrassed. And luckily we had a good laugh and like moved on, but
no, I love it.
Shit like that.
But seriously, like it makes it I feel like, I mean, now I'm like jumping topics.
I distracted us with balls.
I was gonna say, yeah, no, the balls distracted us.
I'm so sorry. You guys, this is like what supervision is like sometimes. So if anybody's wondering what Adia and I do in supervision, I keep us distracted. We do some good work, but we have a lot of laughs.
Yeah, we get distracted, but we get back on track. We always get back on track.
Well, and I do love, though, like you're saying, like, be authentic, you know, and we're being authentic right now. Like, anybody who's listening that's either loving it or hating it, like, this is who we are. And even, like, I tell therapists, like I told you when you started your internship, like, years ago, where I'm like, human first, therapist second. Like, the more that you can be you, the better relationship you're going to have with your clients, and you're going to get clients that are more aligned for you. And they're going to learn from that. So they're going to see your authenticity, and they're going to see, you know, all of the amazing things about you. And even some of like forgetting the words or making up a word or whatever. It's like, they're just going to love it. Like, I don't think they're going to be like, oh my God, I'm firing that therapist because she forgot what she was going to say. And if they did, then that's probably diagnostic of like something, you know, and maybe they're just not the right fit for us.
That's okay then. Probably we'll align elsewhere.
Yeah, and that's fine. And we hope that you do, right? We hope that clients find the right match for them. And we know that might not be us for everybody. And that's okay. We shouldn't be.
Totally. And I mean, that like jumps back to that conversation we had in the last podcast of just like the importance of feeling like it's a therapeutic alignment.
Yeah. And I think... And I don't know how much you talk about like the intuitive piece, because I remember when I started doing intuitive work, I was like, oh, I don't want to tell people because they're going to think it's weird. And now I'm like, meh, whatever. Like, I'm going to tell them, like, here's also like a skill that I have. It's not like I'm just doing intuitive work. It is very much therapy based, but there is this other language or observation with intuition. And so I will be open and honest with clients about that. And I feel like I get a lot of good feedback, or, you know, it's received really well.
For sure. Well, I feel like I don't even really like, because it's weird. It's like having this conversation, like I don't even necessarily see it as like this separate thing, if that makes sense. Like so I don't even really like like it's more just like when things come up, like I'll just check in with a client in that moment and like, I just thought of this thing, or like does this fit, or, you know, that, you know, those kinds of check-ins. Right? I don't know.
Yeah. Or like, I'm curious, like this is something that's coming up for me. I'm curious about this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Oh, this was so fun.
I feel like we should do at some point an episode on like the blend of this and brain deep dive, because I could digress into a whole other spiel.
I love it. We should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got to do this today.